All right, people. All right, all right, all right. It's Saturday. We got some audio over here too, so we are streaming live. Turn the volume down over here, so we're good. I don't get no echo, no feedback. How are you guys doing? Get this tiled in here a little bit better. Woo! Hope you guys all survived the Friday the 13th. I don't know about you guys, but it was crazy. It lived up to the 13th, man. I don't know what it was. It was just like crazy busy. I mean, just it was just crazy busy, man. It was insane. Excuse me. Excuse me. Freaking allergies, man. These temperatures going back and forth. They get me every time, man. Every time. Excuse me. Want to pick up a little bit from where we left off yesterday. Go back into sending 3 to 5 videos, intentional videos every day. And again, you cannot underestimate the importance of these. And when you can get to the point where you're sending anywhere between 5 to 10 videos or more every single day, you're going to be winning. Winning. You understand that, people? You're going to be winning. And you're like, Mike, that scares the crap out of me. I get that. Trust me. I was there one day, man. I remember when I first started learning how to do all this. And back then it was like, what the heck do I say? You know? And it was before anybody was really doing it. And it's like, that's really when the nerves were like, oh God, what if I say something wrong? You know? And it's kind of like when we rolled out and did the thing up in Milwaukee. Let me go out here while I'm talking to you about it. When we did the when I say we, I'm talking about my coworkers, a bunch of the branch managers and corporate, and we did a well, the backstory is we went down to a President's Club trip, and we're sitting there, and our last night we're sitting at dinner, and somehow we got talking about, you know, back in the day and how we all met, and because we're there with our spouses and what we looked like, what we did, and somehow the subject of guys and mullets and blah 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 came up, and all of a sudden these photos of everybody started getting passed around, and I had a mullet. Several other guys had a mullet, and one of our buddies said, "Man, that's what we should do." I'm like, "What?" We should go surprise everybody at the corporate meeting and wear a mullet. And we're like, "Yeah, all right, whatever." And it was like 2 or 3 weeks later afterwards, we're like, all of a sudden, Nate calls and goes, "Hey, man, we need to wear those mullets. Are you in?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" "Yeah, we need to wear those mullets." So sure enough, we did it. And I don't have a group picture. I got to go get the group picture. But we went and got the mullets and everything. But you want to get interaction, you want reaction. And when you go out and do things, some people, there was a time when I wouldn't do something like this, much less walk off a freaking elevator in a public place into a very public bar, into a whole lounge like this, and everybody turn around, look at you, and be like, "What in the?" And then they start laughing, and because they're laughing at you. But then when you realize They're laughing at you, but they're really laughing with you. And they're not making fun of you. The laughter is what you want. That's the response you want. You want that engagement. They just stared there and looked at you like that's dumb. Like you were a comedian up on stage telling a joke that nobody liked. And it just dropped and just silence. That's not what a comedian wants to hear. Comedian wants laughs. And this case, when you walk out and there's three guys all dressed like this, and they're like, what in the... And they're all just dying laughing. They're puzzling out their phones, taking pictures. That's what you want. You want that response. You want that engagement. You want that laughter in that case. Same thing when you're sending out these videos. You want that response. You want engagement because that's what the algorithm is looking for. So you're trying to trick the algorithm into seeing engagement back and forth. And the best way to do it is with direct messages with video. That's why I keep hammering this away. Direct message video in a way that you're going to get responses. Hence, intentionally sending 3 to 5 videos every day. Every day, people. Every day. And it's just like I said earlier, yesterday. Take your phone out. It's got a timer. You sit down and send an email, hit the start button. How long does it take you to send that email on average? How long does it take you to send out a video real quick? At first, because you're nervous and you're going to retake it probably 3 or 4 times, which is a failure. 3 retakes max. Typically, you're your best on your first or second. Your third might be your best, rarely. First or second are typically your best. It's you being your own toughest critic. And again, most people don't know what you're going to say. So they don't know whether you're making a mistake or not. It's only you being your own toughest critic. So take number 1 or 2, it's typically your best, and go with it. Point is, you can take a video a heck of a lot faster than you can dictate it or type it. So you can get through your work quicker by sending messages, video messages. Whoop, right here. So from an efficiency point of view, you can speed up your day. But you're going to get responses. And again, you don't want to send, unless you got no other way of doing it, do not send it text through the social media channels. Because when they respond to you via text, there's no social media connection. Social media can't see it. The algorithm is oblivious to it. It's blind. It's got to be through the social media channel. Then the algorithm picks up on it, and that's when the magic happens. If you have no other way of doing it because you're not friends with people on social media, then send it by text. But one of your things on your checklist when you get a new client or when you're communicating with clients, add them to social media so that you can do this. It's important. You can stay in touch with them. You can easily market to them. And it's not weird. You can stay you can stay current with what's going on in their lives. And it's not weird. And vice versa. It's intentional, people. Intentional. Intentional stalking. Professional stalking. Without the ooh factor. Today and tomorrow, we're going to do things a little different. We might run a little late today. May run a little late tomorrow. I've been trying to get back to where we're going into Canva to complete that big panoramic spread where we have multiple slides. We chop them up and everything. But it's just difficult to go through and cover it slowly. And thoroughly and still cover a daily challenge and everything else. I have posted some videos out here on the feed, and they do a very, very good job of showing it, but I also want to walk you guys through it to just explain a few other things to you. And then I'm going to show you a few more things today. And then on Monday, we're going to get into green screen. And you may see right up here on my top of my screen here, this green, it's a green screen, really. But the green fabric or green line, I guess is what it appears like here with these black clips. What I did, and I'll show you the whole list of stuff I have. And you don't have to do this. Again, nothing that I have, you have to do. Because what I do is what I do. I do me. You do you. You do what you do, and I do what I do. But if you want to do some of the stuff I do, it's not hard. You can have a full-blown green screen studio for $500-600. Now your camera, you might be able to get away doing it with your phone. If you got a good Apple or Android, and I can show you an app to use. Which is one of the apps I use. Probably get away with that. Don't need necessarily that. Now the reason I got this is it takes the mistakes away. It literally, it makes me look like I've been doing it for years. It's a error and mistake remover. That's why I got that. It also does so many other things, but it's not, you don't have to have it. You don't have to have it, but it's nice to have, but you don't need it. And it's not, there's so many more technical challenges that come with that, from getting your light exposure right and all of the settings you need to do. Whereas this is point, line it up, push play or record, and start talking. And then go start editing. I mean, it's pretty much that simple. It's not that simple on a big camera when it's not what you do every day and it's not something you're familiar with. So don't go out and get a big camera. Now, what I will tell you to do is, if you've got a webcam, which is what I'm filming this on, you can get a good webcam for $100, maybe $150 if you want to have a bunch of cool features. And I would recommend spend a little bit extra money, and I'll show you the one I have, and set it up as a B-roll or a secondary camera, because then at that point you can alternate and you can get a cool perspective. So when you're watching those videos and you get that alternating view where you got that side angle, that's what that is. It's just those two angles. You just got a secondary camera set up or a third camera set up, and they're just shooting in. And you can have like I thought about getting another webcam, and a third one wouldn't necessarily need to be of the exact same quality, but if you're talking about spending $100 versus $150, what's an extra $50? But then you could have essentially these 2 to 3 alternating views, and it just really gives you a different perspective. So when you're ready to start moving up and changing things, it's a cool, different way to do stuff. So just food for thought to be thinking with going forward, especially as we start to do some green screen stuff. Now that's a little advanced, but I'm telling you, people, that's why I didn't just dump all the apps and everything that I use on you guys. Because once you start seeing all the stuff and how you can use it, it'll take your mind in so many freaking directions, and everything you can do, it'll almost work counterproductive and against you. Did me, because it's like your mind just goes. So back to the topic at hand. Let's see. So send the intentional notes daily. I cannot stress it enough. If you find yourself, you got low energy, stand up, take some deep breaths, walk around, get you an energy drink, get you a coffee, get you whatever you got to do, clap, yell, you could just, hey, it's okay, puppy. You got one of the Great Danes back here, and she gets all, actually, you can see her back there now. She doesn't like anything loud. So anytime you get like that, she's like, ooh. Let's see. Think about, be cautious about your videos. Reels is the golden child right now. That is what is being pushed. And Reels, you don't want to have everything Reels. You want to have some mixture. Having some mixtures is good. That's why I'll go from just regular squares to 4 to 5 ratios, which is just slightly bigger than squares, and then Reels. But I do a lot of Reels. And the reason I do a lot of Reels is that's what's pushed. And you got to keep in mind that you can have Reels that are anywhere from like a minute. I think the cap is, what is it? 3 minutes? I think it's 3 minutes. You can actually have much longer out there, but the reel itself, I think it's 3 minutes. But the key is when you're trying to get it pushed over to YouTube Shorts caps you at 60 seconds. So if you want it to go to Shorts, it's got to be at 60 seconds. But all of that is freaking irrelevant. If you go look at the watch times and you go look at the historical numbers and all the trending data, you need to be at 10, 12 seconds max. So these 1, 2, 3 minute long videos, scratch that. Don't even think about that. Unless your video requires it to get that subject out thoroughly, then do it. If that's what your subject requires, then do it. Don't cheat your subject. Don't cheat your topic, and don't cheat your people, and deliver your message, a partial message that is, just because you're trying to get your video in a certain time frame. Don't rush it. Do the message. And if it ends up being 3 minutes, ends up being 4 minutes, it ends up being whatever. Case in point, I recorded a video yesterday explaining a bunch of market slides that we're going to put out there. I intended for it to be 1.5 minutes, 2. It ended up being 5. I set out to be 1 to 2 minutes. Almost 3 times as long. Now I'm going to try to re-record it, see if I can shorten it up a little. But if I can't, it is what it is, people. But this is a critical video. This video is going to go out to explain to people why this market is nothing like any other market. Why this market is not a crash market. Why this market's not terrible. No, it's not great, but everyone thinks it's garbage. So many people think the housing market is a train wreck. And did you know that out of like the last 80, you know what? Hold on. I'll just show you this slide real quick. Because I can't remember the exact number. I want to say it's like 89 years. Since this is powerful. And this is something that we show people. And when you start to educate people in a different way, and you're not coming from a point of fear, which is what the media does. And when the media is going from a point of fear and we're coming from a point of education, it changes the entire approach. I put this thing into a slideshow. So let me share the screen. I want to share. So, since 1942, out of all of these decades, and there's been some crappy decades, there's been some bad recessions. The 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s. There is some bad one here. The 90s, 2000s, 2010, and the 20s. Out of all of these years, housing is up. 73 of those years, only down 7 of the years, and basically a break even or a push 1 year. 73 of the total years, 81, housing was up. So if you've got a client who thinks the housing market's going to crash because it just has to, because we're going to have a recession. Well, what about all these other times we had a recession? What did it do? What did it do? Didn't do so bad, did it? When you educate with power and you come from a point of power and not fear, it changes the conversation, people. So this is the kind of stuff you need to be talking to your people about. This is the kind of stuff, the messages you need to be getting out in front of your people. And this is the type of stuff that we put into that video. And this is the kind of stuff you do not rush. If it takes 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes. Because this is a quality message that must be delivered. This is not the type of message that you rush just because you want to get it into a YouTube short. If you want it into a YouTube short, you cut it and break it up into pieces. That's how you get into a YouTube short, which is fine because now you have multiple pieces of content, which goes into, we've talked about this in the beginning, long form, where you record one long video, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 minutes long, and you take and chop that up into smaller pieces. And not only do you put the big piece out there as one big all-inclusive video or comprehensive video, but now you have 5, 7, 8, 10 smaller clips. So now you have 15 to 20 total pieces of material put out from one video. So that's the point on that. Do not rush your message. If you need to break it up, then you have your main message, and then you carve out smaller messages from that main message and post individual videos from your original main message. That way you have your complete thoughts, educating your clients, getting your entire message out, and not shortchanging your clients or yourself. Sorry, I just had I got a security cameras over here, and I just saw something go flying across them real quick. So that's it. All right, so I want to do this real quick, and like I said, I don't know if I think I told you we're gonna run a little late today, or I don't know if I said that or not. We may run a little late today, a little late tomorrow, because I want to show you guys a little bit more in depth on how I actually do some of these things in Snagit. And Saturday, so if I go late, I go late. If you can stay, you stay. If you can watch long, you watch long, or whatever. And then and tomorrow, we're going to go into the whole Canva thing. And we're going to go into the whole piece where I do the whole thing all the way through and show you how we do it. And then on Monday, we're going to start the whole green screen thing. One other thing before we do this, I'm going to show you what we posted out on the Facebook page. There's tons of stuff that got updated. All the several links from, where are they? Here you go. Several sound effect apps in here, reviews. There's all sorts of different things in here. They can come up with stuff. Right on cue. Here's stuff dinging all over the place. And then there are, I put in like royalty-free places where you can get stock video musics and music stuff. So you can just fill in things. And then collages. I have multiple collages. I mean, tons of stuff. And I'll open my phone up and show it to you real quick. And then the video apps, the video editor apps, tons of those in there. I love this particular review one here. This is an excellent review. Actually, it's gonna take it down there. Crap. But this review here is excellent. And most of them are going to do the same thing, but this one's really good because it breaks it down, pro and con, exactly why. And it specifically says with the one I use, CapCut, it's not rated like #1. And the reason being is because it's not free. And most of the stuff's rated based on whether it's free. But it also tells you it's not #1 because it's not easy to use. If you're not used to using a video editor, a professional video editor of that, you're not going to like CapCut. Because it's not just something you're going to pick up and be like, oh, this is easy. It's going to drive you nuts. It's not something you just pick up and just go. So that's why, again, I keep telling you guys, use these basic apps, use the free stuff. And as you use the free stuff, you start to build up your knowledge and how to use this stuff. And you get your knowledge base up and your experience up, and you start to get your skills up. And then as you advance your skills, then you start to stair step yourself up into these other apps. And it's not such a giant step to get up into to some of these other programs. And trust me, you're not ready for all these other apps with all these other features if you haven't used them before. So, but you'll get there. And then here's a bunch of cool ones. To do the panoramic sliding pictures where they're seamless. The unsquared where you can take them and break them up, which we're going to get into tomorrow. Photo Split does the same thing. My Social Boutique and a couple of these other ones down here will move the background for you for free from Canva, so you're not paying for that. So it'll save you some dollars. But just check all that stuff out. We're going to go through and I'm going to add some additional stuff in there. Now, this one here, these are ones that I like. And I think these are like underrated, flying under the radar kind of things. This one right here is a collage one that you can actually put in videos and pictures into the collage itself. This one you can take and it could be, like, let's say it's well, like in the promotion, they have a picture of a waterfall with a person standing in front of it. It's a still picture. Well, you can take and animate the waterfall. So it's a still picture, but then you can actually make the water move. So, I mean, it's really, really freaking cool, and the stuff you can do with it. PixArt, I mean, there's just all sorts of cool stuff you can do with that thing. Add music. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with this. Adding stuff in, multiple tracks. Cleaning Guru, this thing will keep your phone clean. It will find duplicates and things that you don't need. It'll show you the best one. So it helps when you're doing a bunch of editing on your phone, which files you need to get rid of. It's just super, super cool. I use that all the time. So, I mean, just tons and tons of stuff in here. This is a cool thing to add, Dizzy, just to get it done, a bunch of eye-catching different approaches to your videos. And then same thing here. It's just a different, totally different approach. Just gives you a different wow factor. And I'm constantly adding and finding new things. So check that stuff out and enjoy it. So that is that. Tomorrow we're going to get into full-blown Canva and go through that. Now this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can do this. I have one of my programs is SEMrush. It's a paid service, and it will take a blog post and convert it into a video. But I don't want to do it with this one. This one, I want to do something similar like I did with this post. I'm going to show you how I did it. Where it does that little flash and flickering. And all it is you're setting it up and making multiple pages with it. But you've got to be able to lift it first. And is this so this is a blog that I pay for information, and it's branded in my name. I want to get it. Where's the share? Normally there's a share. Oh, right there in front of me. No, I don't want to actually share it there. I want it to be like to where I can do it. That's fine. This will work. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do with something like this is I don't like this banner here, though. What I am concerned with is I'm trying to get the maximum space here that I can use Snagit in. But I have this blue banner up here, and I've got this, actually, I can, boom, hide right there, boom. So now I can get rid of that. So now I have more room to operate in. That's all I was looking for, was more room to operate in, because I want to have the biggest area that I can use Snagit in to start grabbing stuff. So average home means avoiding. All right, so by buying difference in bear with me because I want to figure out which way I was going to do this, because I'm going to take and have the same visual effect, but I'm dropping one of these in the actual slides. I need to figure out which one I'm dropping. So when you rent, when you buy and all right, so there it is. So the black one up top goes with the bottom. All right, so then this is what I'm going to do. And you'll understand what I'm looking at here in a minute. So this first one. So let's get Snagit open real quick. And sometimes you've got to play with your screen size or your zoom on it. And it also helps with your screen capturing. Actually, the being zoomed in helped a little bit. Because what I ultimately want to do is I want to have that black banner along the top and the bottom, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Crap! I don't think I'm going to be able to have it on the top and the bottom like I initially wanted on this first slide. Now, again, the reason I like this Snagit tool is, one, you can line it up like I am, and you can see where you're at. But here's another thing I didn't show you guys the other day is, let's say you're slightly off. With most tools, once you let go, you're done. With Snagit, you're not. You can actually move it. You can still go get more, or you can undo it. So if you're not exactly where you need to be, it's not the end of the world. You can go adjust those lines a little bit more here. But then once you capture it, let's say you didn't capture it just perfectly right, you can move it some more in here. So if I wanted to add a little bit more here, I could add more. And now I have a transparent background, which is not what I want, but I just did that to show that for an example. So to undo it real quick, I just move right up here, undo, boom, there it is. So now what I'm always looking at here is, what is the ratio? Where am I just to start? Well, I'm at 1022 and 811. We know from the ratio cheat sheets that are in the group, a square 1080 by 1080. So we need to at least start with 1080 by 1080. So let's change this real quick to see what that looks like. So we have a baseline to start from. All right, so that's our 1080 by 1080 square. Now, I also like to come in here and go ahead and add a border just to give it a little bit more cleaner, professional look. Now we have a border in there. Boom, done. Now, let's play with this a little bit. Now, we just talked about how everything is predicated on reels. A reel is 19 by 20 height by 1080 width. Boom. So you just took this blog post from that to reel format in effectively 2 minutes. I'm looking a little dark on the screen here. Let me give myself a little light. Actually didn't help much. I need to put my light on over there, but that one's unplugged behind my desk. So we have to deal with the shadow from over there. So that's that. So now here's the next one. Not every slide are you going to be able to do this with. So let's go back to this and grab the next one. Now, this is where my OCD comes in. And I was trying to determine what set of words goes with the slide itself. And now see, I'm trying to get the line up to where I have enough margin. Crap. Trying to get to where I have a margin between this black and this blue and this black and the Windows bar down here, so I can snag it and not cut some of it loose. You know what? It's going to be fine either way, because when you see what I'm going to do with it here in a second, it won't matter. So let's just get a good quality grab on the bulk of it, because what I'm ultimately going to do is I'm going to put a black square at the bottom and cover up the words and create that bottom box. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. So let's line this up real quick. So right here, I can see that we're at 1156 by 892. So it's 1156 wide by 892. So what that means, we're going to compress as we stretch. All right. So let's go check that out real quick. So we're going to squeeze this down to 1080 while we stretch it up to 1920. All right. So let's look at that real quick. Now let's come back to this. Now let's change this a little bit. When I say change it, we want to make it a little bit smaller. And the reason we want to make it a little bit smaller is that way when we grab it, it's not so wide. And with it not being so wide, we're not compressing it as much. And it shouldn't look as stretched. All right, so, because see, now we're at a 1088. So now we're not even stretching. We're basically leaving it like it is. So we're not stretching, I should say. We're not compressing it like we were doing the other one. So now we're just coming down literally eight pixels down from 1088 down to 1080. And now we're going to stretch it up to a 1920. I can type. All right, so now you have that. So let's copy this. Paste it over here. So this is the original that we did. Here's the new one. Really can't tell much difference, honestly. In this case, it doesn't make much difference. If anything, the original one looks better. I'm not sure why that is, because we're not. Actually, I do know why that is. Actually, no, yeah, I do know why that is. I was saying that backwards now. I'm thinking about it. You want it wider. I think you do want it wider because from a stretching point of view, if you're compacting, I have to research that to make sure from a pixel point of view, but how that would work. But that looks clearer over here. I have to look at that again. But I always, there's certain things with this stuff that it says do it one way. I always give it the eye test. I do. Sometimes there's things that you do. I still give it the eye test. 100%. And sometimes if the eye test is better, I go with the eye test. I just do. So we're going to come back to what do we have here? think we had it there. Where's that? Yeah, I'm thinking about it again, because if you're at, it's like a square. Think of it from a square, because if you had a 1080 by 1080, then everything's proportionate. And the closer we get our width to 1920, and to our height, then you're basically cutting it into a proportionally 1920 by 1920, and nothing, and everything's in a perfect ratio again. So the wider it gets, and the closer it gets to that 1920 height, you're getting back to a square ratio, so nothing looks stretched. So the wider it gets, the closer it gets to the same ratio to the height. And when you can get that width to get closer to the height, then it's going to look more proportional. So the wider it is, when you're stretching it than the height, the better it's going to look. So I was definitely saying that wrong. So you want the wider image when you're going to go with the higher reel. So we do want this 1155 image. And this is why I post all those ratios in the cheat or in the Facebook group. I always go back and look at them myself. I don't try to remember all that crap. I always reference them. I always look at them. I mean, I'm human. Stuff always changing too. I don't ever try to keep up with all that crap. All right, so now what we're going to do real quick before we shrink this, I want to create a shape. And going back to that ratio business, I don't ever assume, man, especially in this mortgage business. Rules are constantly changing, things are constantly evolving, and just never assume, man. Always have something double check, verify it. Second set of eyes is always better than one, and just make sure it's right. And I'd rather know up front versus getting further down the line and be like, oh crap. All right, so what we're doing here is we're creating a mirror image. So what I did is I just grabbed a square and then I lined it up so it's perfect size with this, and then I clicked on the fill color, and then I grabbed the dropper, and then I clicked on the exact color black up here, and it's the 0606 shade. And as soon as I clicked on it, it knew the color, and it colored this, and that's how it matched it perfectly. Now what we can do is we can bring it down here. Now what's going to happen is, again, this is why I like Snagit. Now I can take and I can drag this and extend this. I can reduce this a little bit, give myself a little bit more room to see. Now we've created a slide that has both the top and bottom borders, but now it only has the verbiage for the slide that matters versus the verbiage for the next slide. And now we've officially broken this up into its own separate slide instead of one long running piece. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this piece. Let's go put it there for right now. I put it there because as soon as I do this, it's probably going to flatten this, which means it's going to get locked down into it. And I'm not going to be able to grab it or copy it going forward, which means I'm going to have to go recreate that square again and recolor code it again. I don't want to have to do that again. So then, yep, see here, it's flattening it. So then at that point, I'm gonna have to redo what I just did, and I don't want to. So by copying it over there, now I can go get it, grab it, and then bring it back and save myself time. Whereas now here, see, I can't grab this. It's now one big piece. Whereas I can come over here, I can copy it. So the next slide, I can just copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. So here's slide number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this slide 2 real quick. Slide 2. Desktop. And we'll just go there. Slide 2. All right, come back here. Now we're just going to repeat the process. So we're going to line that up. Now that we have the size that we need to be as far as the screen size, we're going to line it up. We're going to snag it. Snag it. Now we're going to give ourselves a little bit more room to operate. We're going to open that up. We're going to come back over here. We're going to grab that, copy it, come back over here, paste it, and drag it into place. Put where it needs to be. And then grab the bottom here, snug it up. And if you're not sure, zoom it in a little bit just to make sure you're there. Yep. Perfect. All right. Boom. Actually, we got to 1080, 1920. Apply, flatten. There we go. And then we're going to say save 3. And come back over here. All right, so this one's the exact opposite because we're at the end. Oh, no. We need to keep this one in here. All right, so this one gets tricky. This may be a double snag. Actually, it's going to be a double snag. So this is again another reason why Snagit is freaking cool. You're not going to be able to do this with a typical Snagit or snagging tool. Ah, crap. Hit the button too quick. To be able to make other tools line up like this, I haven't found the one that does it like it. There may be. I just haven't found it. I'm sure there is. Again, just haven't found it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to snag this piece. All right, so there that is. There that is that. Yeah, there is that one. Now we're going to come back over here. And now we're going to do it again. But now we're going to come in here and just line this bottom piece up. Come back in here. Go back to this one. Now we're going to paste. Crap. I hit the wrong button and I bet it's no longer there. Oh, it did take good. It saved it. All right, so now we're going to drag it over here in place. We're going to do the same thing we did before. Drag it down. All right, now all we're going to do is just nudge up in place. Now we're going to... all right, see, here's another cool thing with Snagit. You can remove objects too. See that little cursor thing? Boom. Gone. All right, so now there's that. So now we're going to change the aspect ratio again. Flatten it again, makes it one big image. Save as, slide 4, slide 4. All right, so we have that. So now we have our 4 slides. And now what we want to do is, and we're at an hour. What I'm going to do, what I ultimately will do is I will take these and I will come over here into there's a lot of other more powerful editors, but I just kind of stay with this one. I wish there's times I wish I move up to other ones, but what I need, and I don't need to be the one sitting here. Got some people to do another edit. It's not what my time should be used for. So that's why I don't upgrade. So what I'm doing here is but at the same time, getting caught up in your own mess and caution yourself time, because some of this stuff you'll think, oh, I can knock that out in 30 minutes. Oh, maybe an hour, 4 hours later. I'm going to drop these down in place. First and foremost, I need to make sure I'm setting my project settings, and it is set to the real setting. So I'm going to apply it, and now I'm going to tell it now. This is what I was talking about yesterday when I was saying, when I was doing those 4.4 or 5 ratios, and it had the hold on, I'll show you real quick. Where I was talking about defaulting and doing square posts with maybe 4 5s and then reels, where this is a 4 to 5 ratio, which means it's 4 to 5 here, which a square is just 4 by 4, and this is a 4 by 5, so it's just a little bit taller. And then basically you have a reel, which is 9 by 6 is what it is, but it left these black pieces here, and I was addressing this yesterday, saying, well, I could fill this up. Well, I can fill that up by doing what I'm doing here, but in this case I am choosing to keep it black. But in this case I'm doing black with verbiage. So the thing about this goes back to the whole concept of what I was talking about with squares yesterday. I know from a square point of view, if this page is put out anywhere else, what is going to be seen anywhere else is something like that, because that's what square is. Or it's going to be something like this. It'll probably be more something like this. I didn't copy. It's going to look more something like that, because it goes back to what I said yesterday. When it goes to Facebook, Pinterest, or whatever else, and all they're using is the square size of it, that's the square size of it. It's just the center square, the 1080 by 1080, basically. And that's actually a little bit bigger than that, because that's more of a 4 by 5 ratio. So if I had anything that was super critical in the bottom or the top pieces here, and it was critical that it needed to be seen, then I don't need to put it there. But in this case, it's not super critical in this. I don't care. So if it got caught up somewhere, I don't care. But at the same time, this is why I was talking about what I was talking about with your message. If it's critical, needs to be right here, dead center in the middle of the square. Anything that needs to be said 24/7, 365 needs to be dead center in the square. And if you focus on squares and you focus on the 4.5s and you build from there, then your material is going to work everywhere. And then if you're coming and doing the same philosophy or approach I'm doing here, then when you have an Instagram post like this one that's playing on me now, in this case, what I would, if I did this one again, I would take and put a white border up here. That way it would extend it and make it look like it's part of it. So I'd have a white border here. I'd probably have a white border there all the way through. And then here, I would have put my full reel out in there. And that's another thing, is build your intros and your outs and save them. And I have multiple ones ready to go. Like, I don't rebuild that every time. That's built once. I have one with music. I have one with sound effects. I have one with sound effects and music. I have one with nothing. I have one that's set up for reels. I have one that's set up for 4.5s. I need to set one up for squares. I don't have one for squares right now, but I have one set up for every individual one except for squares, so that all I got to do is grab it and go. And then have all your stuff in there. You know, all your compliance. And like this one, actually, I need to come back in here, and I've actually started. Sorry, I'm moving these around. So from a compliance point of view, you know, an auditor doesn't say, hey, okay, great, you've got all your disclosure and, you know, legal jargon there, but it's covered up. Nobody can see it. So I'm going to move that around so nobody slaps their hand on that. And even though I intentionally did the logo this way, I don't want somebody looking at it going, hey, dummy, you didn't have your logo right. Well, that's the way I really kind of did it. But I don't want somebody looking at it and thinking, hey, dummy, get your stuff right. So I'm going to tweak that a little bit more. But the point of the matter is, have everything ready, plugged and play. When you have all the stuff plug and play and ready to go, you have your sound effects ready to go. You know where everything's at, which it takes time to get all that stuff set up. But once it's set up, coming in here and doing reels and doing posts and everything else, it becomes an assembly line. Like I was saying the other day, it starts to go quick and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. But the initial setup, it takes time. Your first couple videos are going to take a long time, but it'll get quicker and quicker and quicker. But this is why I'm saying and doing what I'm doing, is so you don't have this dead space up here. But I knew I'd have this dead space up here, and I was fine with it. I didn't care. So back to this one. So what I'm going to do here is that's going to be that. And then like in this case, just what I said, I can come to my library, and here is my outro for a reel. Outro with reel with no sound. So I'm going to put that in here. Now see, that has the sound effects. I don't know if you could hear that. It has the sound effects, but it doesn't have any like music sound, is what I mean. So see, that quick, done. What is this one? All right. So that's got the piano. That's Dr. Dre. Yeah. So it's set them up how you want them. Here's logos. There's another one in here somewhere. But I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can put in here and do. Save your stuff, make it easy, turnkey it. So the only other thing I've got to do here real quick is I need to build this out. I'm not going to wait anymore because I wanted to hold this to an hour, but we're over an hour already. But to build the way to make this work, the way this flickers like this has to be done in an editor. An editor here, to me, is a heck of a lot easier than doing it on your phone, because you can do it on your phone 100%. You can do it in Instagram. You can do it in CapCut. You can do it in anything on your phone. But all you're doing is this. What is this? What's this technically called? Rent and buying a home. The difference between. We'll save that real quick so I can swap over here. Recent. All you're doing is you're taking your images and you're making very, very small ones. Like in this case, it's a duration of 0.01 seconds. And you're just having multiple images. And in this case, I have 2 of them alternating. Initially, I was going to have 3, but there wasn't enough. They were all the same color, so I wasn't getting enough flicker. If you can have multiple 3 or 4 or 5 images, that are all contrasting colors or combination of colors, you'll get more of the flickering, but that's all it is. And when you play it, there's your flicker. That's all that is. It's just quickly alternating between the two. And if you change your timing, it would increase it or it would slow it down. You could probably go in here and make it funky and do, I don't know if it would even show up, but let's say you did, I don't even know how this is going to show up with it being such a quick flicker, but let's see what it does. And let's change it down here to see what this does, because this is a different type. And all these are transitions, which you can do you can do online as well with any of the apps. Well, most of the apps. Some of them, they won't let you do the transitions until you pay to upgrade. That's one of the things they get you on. But what I'm doing is showing different ones just to see what it does. Yeah, it's just, that's too much, too quick. So, which I thought it would be. That's just too short of a time frame to try to get something like that in there. It's just too busy. So in this case, we want to go to another project without saving it. No. But going back to it, that's all it is. So if you want to do that in one of your projects, as they say, steal the idea. That's how you do it. Go apply it to your own stuff. Go figure out what it is. Take and shorten your stuff down to like 0.1 second, literally 0.1 seconds. If you can slow it down slower than that, slow it. But that's why I don't do stuff on my phone that's like that, because just trying to get something that small, screw that. But that's how you get that flickering. And then set it up and go. And that whole video is a whopping 14 seconds. And that's a little long. A little long. But that's where you want to be. The other trick to do is you want to play these things. You want to give enough material that's eye-catching, that grabs people's eyes, that makes them want to come back and watch again. Hey, what was that I saw? You know, like we were talking about this with one of my video coaches the other day, and they're like, it's like, I saw something and I wanted to go back and see it again. Something caught my eye, I want to go back and see it again. That's what you want. Because you want them to go back and watch it again, because that's, again, part of the algorithm. Will they watch it again? How many times do they watch it? How many times do they stay on it? That's key. So, all right, people. See it. All right, tomorrow we're going to go through and do a full-blown Canva deal. I'm going to walk you through in depth like we just did this. You'll see this video posted out there later today. So you'll see the finished product later on. I'll figure out how I do this transition piece up front, and then I'll add some music to it, and then voila. It may be where I just take some of these, although there's not enough. These are all literally the same, so it's not going to give. It's just going to flicker a little bit. It's not going to flicker like it should. So I may have to go create something. I may have to create some variation colors of slides with just maybe like some triangles, and use these colors and just create to where it just creates the flickering and make it work. But that's how it's done. You'll see it. You'll see it out there later today. And that's it. That's it. So you guys have a great Saturday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll go through the Canvas stuff, and then we'll get into the green screen on Monday. Read through those apps, start using some of those apps, check them out. The bigger ones will have a free trial stuff, and look through the review stuff with all this. I mean, there's tons of cool stuff there. Tons of cool stuff, but just be careful because it'll suck you down a black hole. You'll be there playing with stuff forever. So that is it. We're calling it a wrap. Where's my streaming page so I can get to that thing and tell this thing we are done? Where's streaming at? There we are. All right, dudes. Dude and duets, we're out. Peace.